This video is for the purpose of education and is 100% non-profit. Any attempts to remove this from the internet will be met with a legal challenge. You have been warned. Hi there everyone, how you doing? It's me, it's Jeff C. It is Tuesday, May the 20th, and you may have heard, there's actually this memorial that's about to open in New York City. Yeah, it's for a little event, maybe you recall, happened quite a while ago. It's called 9/11. Yes, this propaganda piece, this new museum, this propaganda museum is going to open up, and you can be sure that the corporate media will be there to cover every inch of this event. And in order to build up the whole thing and to put you in the propaganda mode, I know, I'm preaching to the converted. You can trust the corporate news network here, CNN. Nobody brings you government propaganda better than the CIA running the corporate news network. And look at this thing. This creature, his name is Jack Tapper. Tapper. You ever remember that old classic video game where it's called Tapper and they're filling up your beers? Well, this guy is filling up your cup full of fucking bullshit. And watch this story. It's unbelievable. This is how the corporate media does it. This is how they attempt to shut down any critical thought. My word, you are going to have fun with this one. Let's take a look at it together, shall we?
The national lead. It looks almost like the official brochure for the soon-to-open 9/11 museum, but it's actually a fake that so-called truthers plan to hand out. Can't these people give it a rest for one day out of respect to the families? Coming up, it's a sacred memorial to the thousands who died, yet some are using the opening of the September 11th Memorial Museum as an opportunity to spread their lies about the attacks.
It was an opportunity to spread their lies about the attacks.
Handing out fake pamphlets made to look like the real thing. Welcome back to The Lead, the national lead now. The September 11th Memorial Museum opens to the public this week in Lower Manhattan, and some conspiracy theorists, who are apparently no strangers to Photoshop, plan on attending.
Some conspiracy theorists, those damn dastardly conspiracy theorists. You know who they are, those crazy guys, right, with the tinfoil hats? Well, yeah, they're just gonna happen to be there pushing their bullshit. Hey, let's continue, shall we?
According to the Village Voice newspaper, which broke the story, the conspiracy group Architects and Engineers for 9/11Truth
Conspiracy group, Architects and Engineers for 9/11Truth
plan on standing outside the entrance on opening day to hand out fake museum brochures designed to look exactly like the real ones. Take a look. On the left side of your screen, the real deal. Welcome to the 9/11 Memorial Preview, Visitor's Guide for Adults. On the right, the group's handiwork. Welcome to the other story about 9/11. That's, of course, the false one.
Of course. You know that. That's the false one, right? The real one is on the left here. The real one comes from the government. It's the real one. It's the truth. The government never lies. Are you fucking kidding me? You think the government lies? What's the matter with you? Are you stupid?
What's the matter with you? I apologize. What's the matter with you?
The government never lies. They never lie about anything. And you're a fucking fool if you believe otherwise, right? Let's continue, Mr. Tapper.
Inside, they claim they've compiled, quote, a vast amount of evidence, I'm using the term loosely there, proving, that's their word, not ours, that all three World Trade Center skyscrapers were deliberately destroyed by explosives on 9/11. Of course, they don't actually prove anything except for man's capacity for believing crazy things and man's insensitivity to, for instance, the families of the approximately 3,000 people killed in New York, the Pentagon, and in a field in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they don't do anything except prove man's capacity for believing crazy things, right? Because you're a fucking loon if you believe in anything other than the official story of the 19 jihadists armed with box cutters who took down the strongest nation in the history of the world.
Then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, "Oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire."
That's not a far-fetched tale. Hell no. That happens all the time. Let's continue, Mr. Tapper. Fill us up with more bullshit, mister.
Pennsylvania, by Islamic terrorists with Al-Qaeda, as every credible investigation has actually proven.
Every credible investigation has actually proven. Actually, most of the investigations have proven that they are completely incompetent. In fact, the most famous 9/11 Commission report is full of redacted bullshit and is completely missing huge amounts of information, of course, because it's all there to set up and tell you the official story.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Let's listen to this person here from Slate.
Let's bring in Emily Bazelon, senior editor at Slate, for more on this. Emily, we are more than a decade
She's ready to
after
play
the
the role.
tragedy of 9/11. Why do these truthers have such staying power?
I don't know. Maybe it's because they've got a lot of solid evidence? Could be.
It's such a good question, the persistence of the theory. You know, usually with a conspiracy theory, you imagine that people are trying to make sense of the senseless. But with 9/11, we have a real conspiracy called Al-Qaeda. And so one has to imagine that the anti-government motivation of the 9/11 truthers is really what's driving this. Because if you could imagine that the government made up 9/11 as a hoax, then the government is completely monstrous. There's no reason to believe anything any federal official says, and certainly no reason to pay your taxes.
Whoa, wait a second. I didn't say that. She said that. So let me get this straight. Mrs. Slate here is telling you that if you believe that the government is responsible for 9/11, then the government is absolutely monstrous. 100% monstrous. There's no reason to ever pay your taxes. Straight from the horse's mouth. Thank you, Mrs. Slate. Sorry, Kate.
And what happens when this kind of nonsense hits the echo chamber of the internet?
Well, it tends to multiply online, and you see these dark corners of the internet.
Dark corners of the internet. They're dark. They're dark corners. There's dark people in there. White Walkers. They're in there. They're in the corners. They're conspiring. They're coming up with all these crazy things. They're echoing each other's information. They're a bunch of lunatics. Right, Chink?
Lunatics, man.
Where people pile on, and there's this very minute parsing of the technicalities of the supposed evidence, and more detail gets added and accumulated, and it kind of feeds on itself.
And the idea here, right, is not just that the 3 buildings were destroyed by explosives, that it's all part of this grand conspiracy where the U.S. government, I mean, let me state, if I haven't made it clear enough, none of this is true. This is
That's got to be the funniest thing of the whole thing, right? Let me just make it clear. None of this is true. Just in case you're starting to wake up, you're sitting in your lazy boy recliner there, drinking your fucking GMO'd corn sugar beverage, and you're thinking, well, wait a second. Maybe I should check out this architects and engineers. Maybe there's some truth. No. Jack Tapper said it right. There's no truth to this. These are crazy people. Let's continue.
U.S. government faked it, killed all these people intentionally. U.S. government faked it, killed all these people intentionally, and it was just to start a war in Iraq and another one in Afghanistan. Is that the idea that they're going for here?
That's the idea, and just to state it is to show how horrifying it is. I suppose that given that the American government did put forward some false ideas to motivate going into Iraq. In particular, the whole idea that there were weapons of mass destruction there. That's like the tiny, tiny kernel of truth that is in some way related to this.
It's tiny. It's tiny. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny little kernel of truth. It's tiny. It's so tiny you wouldn't even see it. It would fall on the floor. You wouldn't even notice it. The dog would pick it up. It's a tiny little kernel.
I mean, this is insanity. This is what people drink on a daily basis. People actually tune into this like, oh yeah, I guess Jack Tapper actually speaks for me. Look at this lady from Slate. You know, and just make it clear. These people are absolutely crazy, right, Jack?
Completely crazy theory.
And there's also a lot of scapegoating involved in the 9/11 truther stuff. There's anti-Semitism, anti-Israel, anti-corporations.
Yeah, because Israel never does false flags. Never, not even against the United States. They would never even dream of it. They've never done it. They never will. They never happened. You gotta be a fool. Look, this lady's telling you. Look at his face. You trust these people. You gotta trust them.
Exactly, and I think you see these... Exactly, and I think you see these virulent strains that are related to each other and familiar from fringe right-wing talk, and they all get kind of weirdly braided together in this particular theory.
And historically, we see that these conspiracies come after very upsetting events. The Kennedy assassination, the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. Is there a pattern there?